Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is me, Alicia. If this is your first time here, and if not, welcome back. Okay, we're going to skip the round robin because I know you guys are only here for all the tips that I use to start my jewelry business. So if you are new here, hi, my name is Alicia Gettys. I am the owner of shopaliveandfearless.com, where we make gold-filled jewelry made to live life with you, sweat-proof, waterproof, tarnish-proof, and we also have wide brim fedoras for those larger head girls, myself included, or for those girls that still want to be stylish and wear your fedoras under your protective styles. We have been in business since January of 2020, January the 21st to be exact, and we are rounding out 5 years just as successful as ever. So over the last several months, because this is one of the top 3 questions that I get anytime I ask a Q&A, I have decided to write down some of the tips that I use to start my jewelry business, how I started it, how I marketed it, how I grew it, and then where we are now. So I will give you those tips. I feel that as I'm giving you the tips, I also have to give you a disclaimer. And this was a reason why for so long I have not sat down to do this video, because I know that if you're a baker and you are baking a cake and you have the list of ingredients that make up the recipe for this cake, a very, very big ingredient that I have in the recipe that is the success of my business is my built-in audience on my social platforms. You guys know I am on YouTube. I am also on Instagram, which is my biggest platform. And I have been very blessed to be able to take those audience people and convert them into customers. And the reason why I say that is a very large chunk of the recipe that is my successful business is because I had a jewelry business before this one that did not make it. And I feel like it is a combination of a plethora of things. Probably wasn't working hard enough. I wasn't in it. My heart wasn't in it. I was still trying to come out of just work and corporate and all the things. And also, I did not have a customer base. I did not have a customer base, and I did not have the money and marketing to go out and find that customer base. And we're going to get into that marketing aspect of it. So that is a disclaimer that I am giving you. I can give you every single thing that I do. I can give you my entire blueprint, and you can go try it, and we are going to yield different results, whether that be not as successful or more successful. Everyone is different, but I felt that I had to give that disclaimer. So now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. Okay, tip number 1 I will say is start small, but start smart. When I decided to launch what was Fearless Jewelry, that is now the Live and Fearless collection, a lot of it came from the suggestions of you guys, especially on Instagram. You guys know that I'm a lifestyle creator, so I was creating a lot of outfit of the days. A lot of my jewelry, especially my bracelets, I made myself. I had made them back when I was in my first jewelry company, and I continued to make them for myself, for my family, for my friends, so it was just natural that I had bracelets on. And people ask, oh my God, you should make them and sell them. Oh my God, you should make them and sell them. And I sat with that. I want to say that first came to me in July of 2019. It was like, and I just like sat on. I was like, no. I was still feeling some kind of like hurt effects from the previous business feelings. I was like, no, I'm just going to wait. And I want to say in about October, I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to try this again. And I gave myself $1,000. I said, for $1,000, you don't have to make it work. I knew that I wanted to start small, so that was checked, but I needed to start smart. And there are a lot of jewelry businesses out there. You've seen them, just a wide variety. So when I sat down with myself, I said, what is it that I can use or that I can create for my business that sets me apart from anybody else that's out there? It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be extravagant. What is one small thing that I can do? And it dawned on me that when I am making bracelets, and I had a friend that came in and was like, oh, make me that same bracelet. I said, nah, I don't make duplicates. I make them just as unique as you are. I said, so if you want me to make something similar, I can, but I'm not going to make the same thing. And I said, and I thought to myself, I was like, that could be it. It could be bracelet sets that as unique as you are, because no bracelet set is ever going to be the same. So that was my tagline as I am like getting ready to start the business. That was going to be the one smart thing that I can use to separate my jewelry business from everybody else's. So those are the 2 things that I did. Is I started small and I started smartly. Now with $1,000, I spent $650 in supplies. I got all of my supplies from Etsy. I didn't know the world of AliExpress and Alibaba and Fair. I didn't know that world. I was like, I'm gonna go to Etsy. I had initially started with going to Michael's and Hobby Lobby, and then I looked quickly and realized that my $650 is not going to go far here. So went over to Etsy, and that's where I bought all of my raw materials, all of my gemstones. It's also where I had always been going anyway. Like, I had started doing Michael's and Hobby Lobby when it was just myself, but then when I was making them for family and friends, I was like, I can get a lot more for my dollar on Etsy. So I went to Etsy and bought all of my supplies, the gemstones, the bracelet connectors, all the charms, all that came from Etsy. I spent $650. And then I had to go to Amazon because I realized that I'm not just handing these out to family and friends. I have to get shipping materials. So then I went to Etsy and I spent $158 on packaging supplies to be able to pack your orders, ship your orders, all that kind of stuff. And so from that, I had $200 left over. And I knew that, as I said before, the reason why I feel like my business failed the first time was because if no one knows about your business, they can't shop your business. And I didn't have a big Instagram audience. I want to say I had less than 5,000, I'm being honest. And I wasn't in any of the ads, and I just didn't have enough money for marketing. Now, this time around, I said my best marketing is myself. I had a larger Instagram audience. I had a larger YouTube audience. So I could be my biggest marketer, but I also needed to market to those people who are not on socials all the time or just want a different type of audience. And when I was going through just the pricing, who would actually see it, like the estimated audience size, I decided to go with Pinterest. And to me, even now to this day, we don't do ads on Instagram, we don't do ads on Facebook, we do all of our ads on Pinterest because it is basically the best place to get your bang for your buck. So I took the remaining about $200, and that is what we used for marketing for the month of January. So we started in January on Etsy. I would post them at 9, they would be gone by noon, and I basically rinsed and repeated that same formula over again. So from January up until June, I did the same thing. I took those same $650 in supplies, bought the packaging, did the marketing, and if there was anything left over from the $1,000, that went into an account. I never took any of it for myself because I said the business needs to start making money. But I was like, I'm not even gonna lie, I was like so excited when people were like buying them and they're just like selling out, and I was like, and this is coming from someone where my first business, I would set up at a festival and I would pay like, I don't know, $75 to $100, and I would set up at a festival to try to sell my jewelry, and I would be lucky if I broke even on the cost that it took to even get in the festival, not the transportation, nothing. It was lucky if I made $75 at the end of the day. So to be selling out January and February and March, and it took it as a Sagittarius, I cried. I just waited till I got in the shower, but it was definitely something where it's like, okay, you're on to something. So that is one tip that I would say, is to start small and start smart. Tip number 2 that I would say, as I said before, is social media could be your best marketer. I've said it before, I am a social influencer, so it was very, very easy for me to start marketing, but it took me a while to get out of the space where I don't want to show it every day. I don't want people to get tired of it. I don't want people to see it. I don't want people to constantly be like, hey, by the way, shop Fearless Jewelry, shop Fearless Jewelry. And then I realized I'm my only marketer. There's no commercial space going out there for me. There is no ads being put in magazines and newspapers. If I don't tell people about my business, no one else is. I had no one. There was a team of me. I was the creator, owner, designer, producer, all the things. It was just on me. I had no help. Okay, so I got out of that feeling that I was constantly ramming my business down my social media audience, and I just got on there. I would post on our social website. I would immediately repost it on my website. I was making sure that I was consistent on social media. I think, especially, I feel like now people know that social media has the opportunity to blow your business up. Just take one good look at the number of businesses that are now multi-million-dollar businesses with the help of TikTok. So especially if you do not have that built-in audience that I have, get on social media. I would definitely say get on TikTok and be consistent on TikTok. Be consistent on there. Make sure you're showing your products 2 or 3 times a day, because you never know who could get on social media. Okay, tip number 3 is scale your business as you grow. And that was definitely my thinking when it came time to the Living Fearless collection. As I said before, we did gemstone bracelets. We did that for about January until June. And as we're taking orders and we're taking feedback and I'm looking at the comments, a lot of people were like, oh, can you add necklaces? Can you add earrings? Can you add rings? And as much as I wanted to expand to do a bunch of other different gemstone pieces, I physically did not have the capacity to create anything else. I was making about 300 to 350 bracelets every single month by hand. There's nobody else. It was just me. And I still was in corporate America, and I still was influencing, and I still was a wife. And at the time, me and William were going on the journey to try to procreate. So there was a lot going on. So I said, as much as I would like to add something more handmade, I can't do it. And I remember from my previous business that I was in 2 boutiques here in Birmingham, and one of the owners had what was called gold filled pieces, and she was really the one who explained to me the difference between vermeil and gold filled and gold plated. And so I said, okay, well, maybe I can make, or I can have, or find a vendor that can give me gold filled pieces that aren't that expensive. Because as much as I want gold, as much as I wanted vermeil pieces, it just wouldn't match the price point that I had for my bracelets. My bracelets were anywhere between 45 to 50 bucks. A vermeil necklace, to price it to be able to make any kind of money, would be anywhere between 125 to 150 bucks. That would be my price point for my audience. So I said, okay, let's do gold filled. I still had the contact from that boutique owner, even though she no longer had her boutique anymore. Reached out to her, asked her if she would be willing to share her vendor information. She says, haven't been in it for a while. This is his email address if he's still in business. Reached out to him. He was still in business. He was now over on Fair, so F-A-I-R-E. So he pointed me in the direction of his area or his site in Fair. So I started initially with him doing, once again, we started small. So I said, I'm just going to start with necklaces. Okay, I'm just going to start with necklaces because now my $1,000 a month budget now has to increase because I have to be able to buy these things to sell them. So we increased the budget. And I just started with necklaces, and we did that for about 3 months, and then I scaled to earrings, and we did that for about 3 months, and then we scaled to rings and bracelets. And so by the end of 2020, we had everything jewelry related, where we still had handmade. I was still pulling out 300 to 350 bracelets a month, but then I was still able to give the girls the gold filled necklaces, bracelets, earrings, rings, and that was our tagline, was made to do life with you. Because I don't know if you guys know about me, I don't like taking my jewelry off at night. I wear a lot of jewelry. It's another form of like putting on clothing. It's an expression of who I am. And the last thing that I need is to be able to take off 6 necklaces at night. I want to be able to like live with me. The only thing that I will take off at night is my rings, because I lay on my hands, and I'd rather not wake up with a ring impression for most of the day the next day. But we slowly scaled. As you can tell, we slowly added products as we were bringing in revenue. Once again, I'm still not taking any kind of pay or I'm not dipping into the account to say, hey, let me just get a little something for myself to congratulate. It was like, hey, no, head down, continue to work the business, continue. This seems to be like a good formula. Keep going. December of 2020, we are in Tulum. And we are having a grand old time, 6 feet away. We just needed a break. As you can tell, I have been stressed out the year. It was a good stress. We were also doing like an early celebration for the Fearless Jewelry, making it almost a year. And I was really excited, just all the things. And we go into the store, and I see these hats, and I am someone, I love a good fedora. I love a good fedora, but unless my hair is bone straight in a bun, I can't wear them. My head's too big. So this one size fits all, you lie. So I'm in the store, and I see this. I had my curly hair in, and I see this fedora, and he was like, oh, you should try it. I was like, no. I said, I can't wear it. I was like, is that a one size fits all? She's like, no, we have a size. And I said, I'm not gonna. I was like, you can give me the large, but it ain't gonna work. And she's like, oh, we have extra large. I said, you can give me that, but it ain't gonna work. So she takes the extra large down off the wall and she puts it on my head, and it fits. It goes on so smooth. I'm talking about like warm butter on warm toast. And I said, wow, that's amazing. And I bought the hat immediately. And so then we go on about our day, and I'm still thinking about the hat. I still got the hat on. I'm still thinking about the hat. I'm thinking about it, and William's like, what's going on? I was like, this might be crazy, but I think that I want to add fedoras to the shop. And he said, Alicia, you ain't said nothing about no fedoras. Where you gonna get them from? And I said, I'm gonna ask her who the vendor was. I'm gonna go ask her who the vendor is. He was like, Alicia, okay. Sure, why not? So we wake up the next day, and luckily it's her store. Wake up the next day, and I go to her and I say, hey, you know, I love the hats. This is my shop. Look, here's my shop. Because now at this time, we now have an official shop. We eventually, as I think in August, we went away from Etsy because now we have a little money. You know, we got little coins and little bank accounts. Now we're able to have our own fearlessjewelry.com site. Here's my site. I want to be able to put fedoras on this site. Not any fedoras, not the one size fits all. I want to put this gorgeous wide brim fedora that fit on my big head so easily. I want to put it on my shop. I said, can you give me your vendor information? Now, in my head, I'm thinking, I don't know how much, I know how much I paid for this fedora. I don't know how much they're going to sell it to me. And I don't know if I have enough money in our business account to even be able to bring them. But I just want to ask. And so she said, let me reach out to see if she would be willing to give you her contact information. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, where is she? She's like, oh, it's a city outside of Mexico City. I said, okay. So reached out to her. We were supposed to be leaving the next day. Reached out to her. She said, she emails me back, or she texts me back. She was like, she said, okay, now we have to add fedoras. And so everything is different. The marketing is now different on Pinterest. The packaging supplies are now different. And not only are they different, they are more expensive, because a 4x6 box is nowhere near as expensive as a 16x16 box. But because I gradually scaled my business, when it came time for us to add them, it was, I'm not going to say easy, but it wasn't as hard as I thought. So we added fedoras April the 21st of 2021. For those that don't know, me and William found out that we were expecting in December, and we found out that we had lost him, I'm going to say him, in February of 2021. So I'm trying to do all this while also grappling with the fact that we thought we were excited that we were having a child, and now we're not. So there was a lot going on in 2021. So once again, when we found out that he was no longer here, I'm not going to say I put it on the back burner, but I was just like, I don't have time. I can't grieve where I am right now. So that happened in February. I'm now boots to the ground. I'm having to go to have to go to Mexico City. Now I'm announcing that we're coming out with fedoras in February, and we're coming out with them in March. We set a date for April. And William came to me probably the beginning of April. He was like, you need a break. You've been going, that you really haven't had time to sit with what happened with us. Because once again, I'm still in corporate America. I'm still influencing. And my influencing, I feel like was taking off. He was like, you need a break. And I was like, yeah, but I can't go now. He was like, but you can go. He can go. I was like, you got your sisters here. They will, he's like, the orders that come in, they can handle them. It won't be that big. Just you need to go out of town. And so he forced me, which was definitely much needed. So we launched in April of 21. We left for Puerto Rico on the 18th, and we were there for a week. So I'm still doing the hype. I'm still letting the people know. Of course, Faith said, yeah, just, I'll just let me know what orders come in on the 21st, because we were also going to have a jewelry drop on the 21st, because at this point we're still having the situations where I'm announcing on the 21st and it is selling out. And so not only am I stressed out about, man, I really don't want a sellout, because anytime when I sell out, that's now missed revenue. So I'm having to, the 21st was going to be our fedora drop, but it was also going to be our biggest jewelry drop, because I didn't want there to be another sellout situation, because that's now, if I sell out on the 21st, that's now another 30 days of someone going to my website, not finding any product, and I don't know if they're going to come back. So it was a big, he was like, you just need to relax. So we went away for the 18th, had a great time. 18th come around, 19th come around, 20 come around. I want to say we were headed back on the 23rd. The 21st comes, and he decides that, okay, let's just go out on the beach. Post it, make it go live on the site. Let's go out on the beach. Let's relax. So I do that. post it on the site. We go to the beach. I'm now trying to relax, and I have no choice but to relax because there's no service on my phone. I don't have any service. And we're walking to go get some food, and as I'm walking back towards the hotel, my phone is going off like you would not believe. I'm gonna try not to. I had well over, like, I had hundreds of fedoras, and I had hundreds of pieces of jewelry, and they're just like flying off the shelves. They're just like flying off the shelves. And my sister called, and she was just like, you told me it wasn't gonna be this much. You know how many orders I have to pack? And I felt like it was in that moment, April the 21st, 2021, because I feel like I want to get tattooed, is when, because for so long, I'm not gonna cry. For so long, I wanted to make sure that the first business I started, I thought it came from God. I thought I heard clearly God say, start this business. And it did not work. And so when I came time to start this one, I said, man, I really want to make sure that this comes from Him. Because if it comes from Him, I don't care what the seasons say. I don't care what the economy says. It's going to be successful. And I thought that was the case. The fact that I was selling these bracelets in the middle of COVID. Like, I started my shop in January of 2020. You guys know, in March, lockdown. So the fact that I'm still selling this jewelry and these accessories in the middle of COVID, I'm thinking, okay, maybe this was a sign. Maybe it wasn't just my inner conscience saying to start it. Maybe it was really a sign from God. But I'm still just like, you're still a little hesitant. When that happened on April the 21st, and I was able to almost complete, like when I strike midnight on April the 21st, I want to say we were 98% sold out. That's when I sat in our hotel room and I said, it really came from Him. Like, this business really was like, now you can go. And I feel like the first one was me going without Him saying go. And this business was, I said go. So I don't care what obstacles you have in ahead of you. I don't care what they shut down. I don't care what vendor, because at the time, the vendor that I initially had on Fair, that had to go away for personal reasons. So then I had to find another vendor. And now that's the same one that I've had even now, and it's been absolutely amazing. So between that obstacle and then finding this vendor and then going back and forth with this vendor, and now I'm dealing with some personal issues about us having to try to like conceive and then it not work out. And it was that night He was like, I don't care what the devil puts in your way, I told you to go. So you can go confidently knowing that I am right behind you. And that for me, once again, we have got all off track. That for me was a sign where it's like, I'm gonna go. And that was me starting small and then gradually increasing my business. And who knows what the future holds? Who knows what I'm going to add next year? Just know that I will never add or take away anything unless I talk to Him first. So since that was a very, very long tip number 3, I'm going to go to tip number 4, and that is reinvest before you reward yourself. I've been saying this over and over again. I didn't take $1. I did not reward myself. The only thing that I think I did was on our anniversary, so January the 21st of 2021, I did go get myself a massage with the company money. I was like, this is first anniversary. I didn't think that I didn't see this in my last business. I'm going to go reward myself. Other than that, it was 2023 before I decided to take any kind of money from the business. I wanted to make sure that we were okay from any and all contingencies. I definitely feel that it's important that I put the profits back, because had I started rewarding myself early, I would not have had the money to be able to buy the necklaces, the bracelets, the rings, the fedoras. I would have not been able to have that reserve to be able to add on to my business had I been rewarding myself very early on. So I told myself I was going to give myself 3 years before I even started paying myself, and that's exactly what I did. So as I said before, I didn't start looking into getting a paycheck until I officially I always had an LLC, but when I created my S Corp, which was in 2023, is when I said, okay, now I'm going to start rewarding myself from the business. So I definitely, as much as we see the money in our account, we're just like, I how you doing? If you know that you want to eventually grow and scale your business, and I knew for me, just based on the time that it took to make those bracelets, that is not something that is sustainable for me. So I knew that I wanted to grow my business. I just didn't. So because I knew that I wanted to grow my business, I did not take any of the money initially. It was to put back in there to be able to have more money for supplies, to be able to have more money for the packaging, because now the packaging is expensive, to be able to have more money for marketing. I constantly want ads showing on Pinterest. I definitely feel that it's been very, very great for me. So that is tip number 4, is reward yourself. No, reinvest in the business before you reward yourself. Okay, next tip, which I feel like most small businesses know already, and that is learn every role before you outsource. And for so long, it was just, I would say, a 2-person team. When it came time for the actual aspects of the business, whether that is ordering supplies, ordering products, uploading the products on social, that was all me. I was the curator, buyer, everything. When it came time for social media marketing, especially when it's me and I need somebody behind the camera, that was William. I have brought on different versions of friends and family to help me throughout the years, but this year was the first year where we officially hired someone in a paycheck, a monthly paycheck capacity, if that makes sense. And that is something that was I was very proud of. I had never, to be a CEO, it's okay, but then it's oh, you're an employer, so I have employees. So between the person who is here, you guys know Kiosha, who is here, and then I have a couple of virtual people that help assist me. It's just been really, really great to be able to take my hands off of things and just focus on curating and buying pieces that I feel that my audience would love and wear and appreciate. So definitely had to put that in there. For so long, it was just me. And then the rest of these are kind of a couple of quick fire tips that I will just say have helped me along the way. One is, I would say, stay consistent even when sales are slow. Even though I feel like I have been very successful in this business, could it be more successful? Probably so, but I didn't want to have extra investors. I didn't want anybody telling me what to do with my company, and as much as I probably could have brought in other people and I would have had more money to be able to work with, I then would have more opinions, and I didn't want to do that, so I did not. But even when sales were slow, I made sure that I stayed consistent with marketing, stay consistent with newsletters, stay consistent with posting. And that is very important when you do have a small business, that despite what sales say, the posts still have to go out. All right, and then my last one I would say is to get legal and financial basics right. Even before I started making money, I knew 2 things had to exist. I needed to get a LLC, and I needed to get a separate business bank account. I wanted there to be a separation of personal money, personal funds, and business. And I immediately knew I had to do those. I personally went through LegalZoom for my LLC. You can do it by yourself. Once again, I just did not have the capacity to do that. I also did not really know how to do that, and I wasn't about to research. So I went through LegalZoom to do that, and they gave me the formation documents to be able to go and easily open my business bank account. As the business evolved, we went from being just a strictly LLC sole proprietor to an LLC S corp, because once again, I wanted to put myself on payroll. I knew that despite this money being in the business bank account, you cannot touch that to go on a shopping spree. So I put myself on a payroll. I get paid. I get a paycheck stub every single month, and it makes it easier, especially if you are in business, or even if you are an influencer and you want to go get a car, or you want to get approved for a loan. It's a lot easier when they say, hey, paycheck stub, okay, here's my 2 paycheck stubs, rather than saying, hey, so I'm an entrepreneur, what do you need? Because then they're going to ask for everything for the last 3 years, whereas it's easy to be like, oh, you need a paycheck stub, here you go. And so that was one of the things that I, once again, as I grew and evolved and I started taking out funds from the business, that I decided to do an S corp. But initially, if you were starting any kind of anything, LLC, separate business bank account. Alright, so guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. As I said before, I was very, very hesitant about creating it, but as I have been talking over the last, I don't know, it has been very cathartic for me. The last thing that I'm going to say, and I feel like it is very important, is just regardless on what you want to do, regardless on whether you want to do a jewelry store or you want to sell clothes, you want to sell shoes, I would say I need you to make sure that you are passionate about it. Because if you are not passionate about it, when it comes time for those hard situations, when it comes time for this slow slump, when your personal life is in shambles and you still need to show up, if you are not passionate about what you are trying to go into business with, it is not going to work. And I think for me, the reason why it has worked is because the first time I started the business, I'm been very passionate about jewelry for a very long time. This was back in like 8th and 9th grade when I would make the jewelry bracelets myself. So I've been very passionate about this, and it wasn't not easy, but it was natural for me to go into this lane of business. And I tell people all the time, this is easy for me. I am passionate about this. Now, if you wanted me to buy, I don't know, trying to find something, hangers, I can't sell you no hangers. Or if you wanted me to try to do pillows, I can't sell you no pillow. I'm not passionate about pillows. One slump in pillow sales and I'm out, because that's not something that I'm passionate about. So if you are serious and you are passionate about selling jewelry or selling handbags or selling clothing, make sure that your passion is behind it and you're not in it for the money. Because in those moments when you are starting to question your sanity, if you're not passionate about it, you're going to forget about it. So that is the one caveat that I would give you. I hope that this video was very informative. If you have made it to this far in the video, you have not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe. Also, don't forget to tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend. And I'm going to catch you guys Thursday, 7 o'clock. Later.